Would you look at that? 25.3 is coming soon. We're here to cover it. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so right out of the gate, I think this is a really exciting release. There's just lots of small things in here that are just going to be continuous quality of life improvements. Custom domains for Tableau Cloud. We've got prep in database processing, prep right back to Databricks. The Viz extensions are getting improvements. There's color palette assignment for the workbook and also custom color palettes in the same release. Add to related data tables, Tableau Semantics connector updates to connect to data sources in the Salesforce ecosystem and vice versa. Tableau MCP authentication support, Tableau MCP and Tableau Next. Tableau Public Author channels, Viz reactions in Tableau Public. There's just lots of small things everywhere in this release that are like, oh, that's nice. And I don't know if I had low expectations for this. Maybe that's what it is, actually. I've got into this place of not expecting too much from the release, but nonetheless, the release is here, and I think there are some substantive things. I will say, like I say in most releases this year, there's no big hitters, but they're all good updates, if that makes sense. Now, one thing I will note is I've just accidentally clicked on this here, is that this list is sort of sorted in a different way. When you go to the page and you land on it, you'll get the 25.3 elements here, but at the top you'll also see September items. You see Tableau Pulse and Tableau Next launch features every single month, and so if you're not actually tracking these as a release, there is really no opportunity for them to tell you about them. So they've updated this page to show you the movement that is happening inside of the ecosystem. So we will briefly, very briefly start with Tableau Pulse. There's just a sea of stuff that's happened in September going into October. So we have the Tableau Pulse and Tableau Agent are now geo aware, so they have some sort of context of location. Let's look at this. Experience faster, more secure AI in Tableau. Now Pulse and Agent automatically connect to the nearest LLM provider based on your data cloud region. So essentially just making sure that they send the request to the nearest let's say AI agent, literal physical location, rather than just sending it to an American one, which was maybe happening before, which might lead to a bad experience if you're located at the other side of the planet. So that makes a little bit sense. Currently limited to one LLM. Tableau Pulse recommended metrics on mobile. These are now recommendations that are showing up on Tableau mobile app. I haven't done anything on the Tableau mobile app in a long time. We should just do a deep dive into that because I think it's pretty exciting. Tableau Pulse correlated metrics insights. So get even deeper insights in Tableau Pulse with a new insight type, correlated metrics. These help you find significant relationship between metrics by identifying key correlations. So that's quite a nice little touch. Improvements to team integration, so Teams integration even. So this is Microsoft Teams getting this deep ability inside of Microsoft Teams. And, you know, Salesforce have done a really good job actually promising equivalence between Slack and Teams. They realize that most enterprises are on Microsoft Teams. So whatever they have to do with Slack, they're doing it inside of Teams. And what they have done is struck a partnership with Microsoft to actually enable this. So this isn't just sort of lip service. They've actually, you know, reached out over to the other side of the wall and said, hey, listen, Microsoft, you've got a ton of customers who use our products. If you want them to have a good experience inside of Teams, you probably want to be working on this. So this is probably a direct collaboration with the Microsoft Teams team, the same level that they would interact with the Slack team to kind of bring this capability. And it means you get these nice little, you know, really rich experiences inside of Teams, which you just don't get normally. Normally you just get an image and some text and things might look broken. So that's again really nice. Rolling time ranges. So you have rolling windows. So last 7 days, last 14 days, last 30 days. The date capability inside of Tableau Pulse, I think is just really nice. I really wish these were default filters inside of Tableau Desktop. The UX on these is just so much nicer than what we have in desktop. So again, you know, I'd love to see that come over, but it's probably not going to happen. Tableau Pulse, see more data breakdown charts. So in Tableau Pulse, you get these breakdowns. Essentially, you're going to see a lot more of these going on. So give a more complete picture of the drivers behind a metric or goal with a show more button on breakdown charts. See beyond the top 7 contributors. Essentially, the show more option will go down to show you the full list. So that makes a lot of sense. Tableau Pulse breakdown chart filtering enhancement. So you can change the way that these are done. So get a more consistent experience on the metric detail breakdown charts with static ordering of dimension pills. So essentially, I guess you can move these around. order is now based on the adjustable metric filters set on the metric definition instead of changing based on data conditions to offer more predictable user experience. Tableau Pulse, new enhanced Q&A entry points, so basically different ways to start asking questions. I have a few bones to pick with this experience. It's not as good as I think it should be. You can basically only ask specific questions that it's already trained on, but you can't really push it sort of over the edge and get it to do combinations that it hasn't analyzed, which is sort of an interesting problem. I'll do a separate video on this just to sort of give some clarity on that. Tableau Pulse, improved output text in enhanced Q&A. So basically this text is becoming better. I just think they've just shoved a better LLM on top of this. This is sort of the free stuff you get with improved large language models. You know, the last time Tableau Pulse was released, I think we were on like ChatGPT 3.5 and something else, and now we're on ChatGPT 5. We're on Claude Opus 4.5, and so if you add all these capabilities up, these are the kind of outputs you're just going to get. More verbose, nicer reading statements. So yeah, Tableau Mobile Snowflake Authentication. So this is the ability to authenticate Snowflake inside of Tableau Mobile, which is pretty important, which is nice. Tableau Public Spam Moderation. So help us keep Tableau Public a safe and trusted space by reporting suspicious profiles and flagging spam. That's kind of good. I guess as they push the social features out, this is something that's going to keep happening more. Tableau Pulse dynamic date offset, so get the most accurate view of your data over time. Set your time series to reflect the most recent data available to ensure a complete picture even when today's data hasn't been populated yet. So essentially setting the offset so it's always looking at the correct data. A good example, if your data only shows data up until yesterday, Tableau Pulse would show you up until today, and you would get sort of nulls in today's picture. And so this allows you to say, hey, only look up until the previous day, and it will show you today as if it was yesterday, or as if it was last week, or as if it was last month, if that's how your data works. So that's kind of a really nice touch. New Tableau Cloud regions. This is just the extension really of Salesforce and Hyperforce, essentially bringing more and more capability across the world. I believe Switzerland, India, and South Korea is planned for September. I believe these are also Hyperforce regions that have been added. I noticed there's some correlation between Hyperforce and Tableau Cloud regions now that the Salesforce is looking after these. So, yep, pretty good list of September updates. Now, these are the 25.3 updates. So these are the updates that come with the 25.3 release. My gut is this will probably come in the next month or so. So first of all, external key management for extracts, enhance security data extract in Tableau Cloud with external key management. Keys in this context essentially relate to AWS. You get a key. This key is used to encrypt the data source. So when the extract is created, it talks to AWS and uses this key. This means that if someone hacks into your environment or gets access to your Tableau Cloud, in AWS, not even Tableau, you can essentially disable the key, and the key will mean that people now can't read those extracts. Those extracts essentially become useless to anyone who has them. So gaining full control over the encryption keys means that you as a customer are in full control of everything. And you can kind of tie this down to authentication and access as well through AWS's key management service. So KMS is its short name. So this is a nice, good, secure feature to have. Private Connect, additional connectors. So Private Connect is a new capability that I frankly do not know enough about. I believe this is a capability that enhances your ability to get into your infrastructure through AWS. So let's say you're hosting a database in AWS. Private Connect essentially allows you to get Tableau Cloud to hook directly into that using the AWS infrastructure. That is my layman's basic understanding of it. And so additional connectors in this interface allow you to connect to some additional data sources. So you can have cross-region connectivity for Redshift, PostgreSQL, MySQL, Oracle DB, and Aurora. These are like hosted databases on AWS. So if you're not necessarily doing this on-premise, you're doing it in the cloud, you can actually have these databases connect through Private Connect, which is better than Bridge, because Bridge is essentially reaching into your company's network, then connecting to these data sources. This is different. This is Tableau Cloud reaching directly to those data sources, if that makes sense. So again, a really nice touch. Okay. Custom domains. Oh, this is so nice. Custom domains for Tableau Cloud. My word. How long has this taken? This is, oh God, my word. Now the amount of URLs I have to go out and be updated is probably going to be ridiculous. But basically, if you have some really nice people in IT that are willing to set up the infrastructure for you, this is probably going to be the next thing. You will be able to use custom domains. So you can probably go out to your IT administrator, go out to your cloud administrator, and say, hey, can you get us this nice, lovely custom domain, tableau@companyname.com, so that we don't have to keep typing in online.tableau.com anymore, which will be fantastic. So eliminate the need for third-party cookies in embedded scenarios and give users a simple, memorable URL for accessing their analytics. Actually, I had not thought of this, third-party cookies in embedded scenarios. So this happens because essentially your embedded solution, your application, will run in a different URL to your Tableau Cloud site, online.tableau.com. And because of that, you have to have third-party cookies installed, because essentially the URLs are not the same. But if your application runs on your domain name, let's say I'm running at companyname.com and my Tableau Cloud instance is tableau.tableau companyname.com, then I don't have to deal with that. That's actually, I'd not thought of that, and that's actually quite a nice touch for an embedding capability. So that's good. Platform Data API. Oh, this looks really complex. So this is a screenshot of Postman, I believe. Is this Postman, or am I making this up? Let's have a look. Gain programmatic access to your Tableau Cloud activity and agents data without requiring an AWS S3 integration. Use a new API to retrieve unified event logs for custom SIEM ingestion or analytics in your own data warehouse. So essentially, there's an API that gives you information about what's going on in Tableau Cloud rather than having to have it dumped into AWS S3. So essentially, you can call this information. Near real-time logs and S3 integration only available with Tableau Enterprise or Tableau Plus bundle. Makes sense. So I think this is going to be obviously it's an API. But I believe Tableau typically, or Salesforce typically, have like Postman bundles that show you how to get some of this stuff. And that's what we've got a screenshot of here. It's just not sort of showing us the full Postman interface, but it's not showing us the logo, sorry. But this is Postman. I'm pretty confident of that. And yeah, you can use this to get information more quickly. I have to say, like, these are very small things, but these are the kind of things IT asks for. And, you know, Tableau is always considered a premium product, but then this is exactly, I think, what justifies that price sometimes, because you go into clients and they ask for all these things and they think it should be out of the box, but not everyone's asking for them, and they think that everyone's asking for them, and they're just not. They're just very like unique use cases. So sometimes I look at the breadth of other platforms and I just don't see anywhere near this level of depth. And then I see it in the Tableau ecosystem, and maybe I've been drinking too much Salesforce Kool-Aid, but I start thinking, man, this really justifies the premium price, because I don't see this in other platforms. I just don't see it. It's just not something that I see being offered. So anyway, that's an argument for another day. Tags in Admin Insights. This is nice. So being able to tag content in Admin Insights gives you visibility to how content is organized and governed on your Tableau Cloud site. Analyze tags applied to your content within Admin Insights to enforce governance policies and understand content usage. So the tags I'd be interested to see here would be, it would be really interesting. So here you can see, you can tag something VIP reports, and then the VIP reports are specifically labeled. I don't know how these tags are applied. I don't know if they're expecting users to be manually doing this, or if like you'd have to educate your users into adding these. I don't believe there's like a nice interface to do this after the fact. You can see here, this is just basically the publishing window, and it's got the value in there, but it's something to see in Tableau Cloud to see if you can add it after the fact. I think you can. I'm fairly certain you can. But as long as you've done it in Tableau Cloud, then in Admin Insights, these tags appear and you can start to track them. So you could say, look, all reports from this team use this tag, or so on and so forth. And then you can use that as like a way to track things across the infrastructure. Rename sites via the REST API, so gain more flexibility and manageability over Tableau Cloud sites. Admins can now edit names and URIs The thing I think this is useful for is if you're sort of using Tableau Cloud Sites as a very programmatic thing, and because of the Cloud Manager capabilities where you can create new sites very quickly, this is a very important thing to allow programmatic management of those sites. So being able to change the names, being able to deprecate them, just allows you to set up an API and then send out those instructions and do things like migrate people from one site to another very easily, and even allow you to rename things and then break the URI so that people then can't re-access it. That's the kind of stuff that I think people do. But again, I just haven't come across those use cases myself, but I know they exist and there are people out there using it. Configure SAML via the REST API. So achieve greater efficiency and scale when managing security for multiple sites with a new SAML configuration REST APIs. So again, REST APIs are just becoming super prolific in every part of Tableau. You can virtually control everything using this API. So being able to programmatically configure SAML in both Tableau Cloud Manager or a Tableau Cloud site and create scripts to automatically rotate identity provider certificates means you can essentially have a touchless setup with Tableau Cloud. This is super important for some companies. I've actually worked for a company that insists on having what is essentially a touchless configuration process. So if you want to set up a Tableau Cloud site in this company, you would have to have a script that does the whole entire thing, no hands-on. This is from the perspective of disaster recovery and resilience. Essentially, if something were to happen, could they stand up their whole entire infrastructure just by running a set of scripts? And essentially this is it, because doing it manually obviously requires a lot of people. It's very non-resilient, and also if the right people aren't around, then essentially you lose all of that knowledge. So yeah, this is I guess useful in that scenario. Again, not one that I've ever seen. User attribute function for SAML and OIDC. And these are the really driest parts of this update. I'm just gonna take a break and be like, man, I'm really trying my best to keep the energy high, but this is just dry. User attribute function for SAML and OIDC. I don't even know what OIDC is, but let's have a read. Enhance row level security with user attributes passed directly from your identity provider. Essentially, row level security is the kind of thing that comes to your database or through the data source. User attribute functions are capabilities when you do embedding and when you are essentially application is talking to Tableau. And what I'm thinking here is there's user attribute functions passed directly from your identity provider, which in this case could be something like Okta. You can secure data with attribute-based access controls, ABAC, through the user attribute function UAF by dynamically passing attributes from the identity provider, IDP, using SAML or OIDC authentication tokens. So essentially, your SAML or OID authentication tokens are passing information through, I think, to the user attribute function capability, which is in turn then controlling the thing you see, their row level security. I think that's what I think that's what this is saying. I genuinely have no clue. So I should do a whole video on things I do not understand about Tableau that I hope someone can explain to me, and maybe put out a bounty for some of these in the comments. It'd be a great video. Put a video 10 things I don't know about Tableau, and put out $100 bounty for anyone who can not only explain it to me, but explain it to me in one take. Okay, that'll be a great video. Tableau Cloud Unified Access Token. I bet you who'd be able to do this. Eric Summers on LinkedIn has been doing a great series on API, so be sure to check him out. Tableau Cloud Unified Access Token. Simplify multi-site management and enable robust automation with unified JWT authentication solution. This modern secure method replaces difficult to manage your personal access token, PAT, allowing you to centralize API access across your entire Tableau Cloud environment. Okay, so this is kind of useful because it replaces what was a very manual process with personal access token. What I don't understand is the scope of this. So simplify multi-site management and enable robust automation with unified JWT authentication. This modern secure method replaces difficult to manage PATs, allowing you to centralize API access. Okay. I think this is basically replacing the PAT system, but for managing multi-site things. So as an admin, this is for you, so you don't have to keep managing PATs between different sites to be able to do things. Essentially gives you one way of talking to each of your Tableau Cloud environments through this token. I believe that's what it is. Okay. Prep in database processing. So we basically give you in-database processing for Tableau prep. This is all it is. Improve the power and performance. Large paraphrasable process them directly in their own database. This gives more control. It doesn't say which data sets it's supported for, which is important for Tableau prep because it doesn't have as full a range as something like, let's say, Alteryx. But I think it's actually more or less at the same par in terms of the databases it supports out of the box. I know Databricks is being added here as an example, so prep right to Databricks. I believe this wasn't strictly possible before. So same with Snowflake. Snowflake didn't have this out of the gate, but then it added it later down the line. Tableau prep users who also use Databricks can now save time and effort by writing their flow outputs directly into the Databricks database. And I think the direct bit is the important bit there. So Tableau Agent ingesting field descriptions. So improve the quality and relevance of AI generated insights by empowering Tableau Agent with deeper business context. Oh my God, this is an absolute nightmare. I cannot imagine someone filling this out. Okay, so I just realized I read this whole entire thing wrong. They're actually going to be ingesting it from the catalog. I went on my high horse and did a rant here about how no one fills the description. So bear all of this in mind when you hear it. I do actually make the point I'm about to make, which is the catalog is the right place to do it. So just bear this all in mind. The agent now leverages field descriptions. No one writes field descriptions. It's just not going to happen unless you're AI creating them. You're going to have to put something in the tool to write these because no one writes these. In my 12 years of consulting, working with Tableau virtually every week, I've never seen anyone do field descriptions properly. Not a soul. So unless it's being programmatically done, in which case you're just feeding AI with AI, and that's not really that great. What I have seen done well is AI summarizing a data set generally, so grouping fields together, but it can't get the nuance of some of these descriptions like perfectly right. This kind of has to come from either the person who owns the data source, so the database, and really belongs in a metadata store outside of Tableau, not just strictly here in Tableau, because this is useful, but it's not useful just in Tableau. It's useful everywhere. So maybe that's where it should be. New language support in prep: Dutch, Swedish, Thai, traditional, and simplified Chinese. Viz Extension enhancements. This table extension just keeps getting beefed up. So gain great flexibility and control with Sankey and Table Viz Extension. Leverage expanded color controls, advanced conditional formatting rules, and new appearance capability to build more insightful and finely tuned. So they're basically covering those old extensions they added, and those are backwards compatible. They go back to the very first version because they're just based on the web. So they're really powerful. Radial Viz Extension. This is a new extension to allow you to build radial vizzes. So again, really nice touch. I like that Tableau are adding their own. They're not just sort of relying on the community, and they're making it easy to do these things. They're kind of looking at that long list of, what are people doing, and they're just building like a basic free version just out of the box so that you can have these inside of the product. So you could do 2 or 3 layers of these. You could do 2 layers. So this, for example, what they built here, I could have actually done it without this extension, but to be able to do multiple layers is, I think, super important. So that's quite good. Custom color palettes. My word, this is about due. I don't need to explain this. Custom color palettes. Well, hey, it pretty much explains itself. You can they demoed this at a Tableau conference. So you can add a swatch, you can paste swatches, you can save it. Once you've saved it, you can then apply it, which is basically this version here. So you can apply it to the whole entire workbook. So you can open a workbook, it's ugly, you go to the color palettes in the workbook formatting, you apply it, and boom, your whole workbook's in the right sort of setup. So this is really nice touch. Instant Viz and Show Me. This is really good. So this one is basically a reverse version of Show Me. So rather than just clicking on 2 fields and then having it show you a viz, Instant Viz and Show Me is essentially open a data source, no field selected, you click a pie chart, and it goes and chooses the fields and builds it for you. So it's a subtly different way of working, but it still shows you what it's going to use, what it's going to pick in order to create those. So you can just have it build charts, no prompts. Workbook color assignment we've done. Add related tables. This is nice. So this is something that Kirk Monroe posted about on his LinkedIn. Essentially, it's going to read the metadata coming from the database to add in related tables, making it easier to build your own data model. So it's going to it's going to do a little bit of what I would say like logic for you and figure things out. There's no little screen grab here, so I've actually got 25.3 on my laptop. I'll be able to try this with the dataset, but here you see they've put this in SQL Server, so I believe it's just leveraging what's already been set up inside a SQL Server. So I'll have to sort of do some work inside of Snowflake or SQL Server to try and show you how this works. Otherwise, this is a really nice touch for people who are building data models. Semantics connector updates, so just bringing these up to speed. So additionally, new updates in the connector are also available to Tableau desktop, server, and cloud users. You can reuse curated Tableau semantics and data sources. So this is important if you have Tableau Next, essentially allowing you to connect to your Tableau semantics data sets inside of Tableau desktop, so you don't have to keep basically repurposing things. If you've done the data set work inside of Tableau semantics, you can essentially get that over here. This is good if you want that sort of full end-to-end Tableau Cloud, Tableau Next sort of interoperability. Tableau MCP Oauth support, so ensure enterprise-grade governance security standards while using Tableau MCP. With the support of HTTP transport and OAuth, you can centrally host and manage a remote Tableau MCP server that access requests from distinct users and respects row-level security policies on your Tableau server. Skim support on Tableau server. This is just bringing something that was available in Tableau Cloud from the last release. OpenID Connect. This, I believe, is for Tableau server again. This is a Tableau server release. So we got one, I think, at the beginning of the year. It's every other release. So this will be the last update until mid next year, I believe. So yeah, these are all basic. Now, view reactions in Tableau Public. You can basically react with these new emoticons or new icons, which are pretty cool. I don't know why someone's got a crying sad like tear. That's not a great one. I should always think these should be entirely positive, but anyway, that's my opinion. Tableau Public, all the channels. So yeah, featured authors, find creators in the Tableau community on Tableau Public's homepage, and find and follow talented authors, essentially a channel showing you people who you should go follow. Tableau Agent in Tableau Server. This is really nice. So this is essentially bringing the Tableau Agent capabilities, but giving you your own LLM with your own API key in order to connect to that. So rather than fronting off Tableau Cloud, you can front it off your own infrastructure and essentially have your own API key. And I think Tableau's done the work to basically pass off that information to the LLM. Now, the thing here is that I think you're also now responsible as well for the security behind that, because I don't think Tableau Cloud is doing anything with your data. There's no sort of middleman that Salesforce has to remove PII. So really, it's if you have like an internally hosted version of OpenAI or whatever, you can kind of get this to work with that, but really the keys are yours, and so the responsibility is yours. So I don't see this being picked up very, very quickly. I think companies are still figuring out how to do that stuff. With Tableau Cloud, it's kind of nice that Salesforce did what they did to make it easy to just get started with this stuff. Tableau Next MCP server. So this is MCP server for Tableau Next, essentially bringing the MCP capability up to speed within Tableau Next. This is going to be very nice because it might make it very attractive to build semantic models inside of Tableau Next and then just have those models be available here inside of an MCP, which would be much, much easier than building a data model inside of Tableau Desktop or Tableau whatever, publishing it up and then more context of your organization than potentially like a and then it transpires that the AWS outage yesterday stopped Descript from uploading this to the cloud. So I have no audio from this point on. So what I'm going to do is narrate over my screen recording, because that's all I can do to salvage this. And I'm so close to the end of the video. So man, this video did not go down well. So yeah, this is going to be a bit weird, but let's give it a go. Published. Okay, so here we have Tableau Pulse, 2 updates. Tableau Pulse custom digest frequency and Tableau Pulse disable alerts. Disable alerts lets you disable one or the other. Before, I think you had to have both of them on. And Pulse customized digest frequency lets you choose a schedule for how frequent those come through. So that's pretty much it, I think, in this release. Yeah, I'm just going to end this video here because at this point, I've clearly not done a great job. And there you go, that's the end.